Welcome to the channel. I am an assistant lecturer in media and communications at university. I teach skills workshops just like this. This one is going to be on composition. It's for beginners, but not just beginners. If you've been taking photographs for a while, hopefully that will be something that will be beneficial to you. I hope. Fingers crossed. I'm currently got my fingers crossed, but you can't see that with my avatar. So you might be thinking, why am I using an avatar instead of webcam? I've always been obsessed with VTubers. I've always wanted to kind of be one. I think it's so fun, and I'm currently, you can't see this, but like I am smiling from ear to ear. So excited. Also, I get to have cat ears. I am obsessed with watching my cat ears just go side to side. And also, I love vampires, so I'm a vampire cat. Rawr. Anyway, I am going to kind of stop. If you kind of like me rambling, please like and subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I don't want to be that person that's like, so many of you are not subscribed because of course you're not subscribed. This is like the beginning. The beginning of our journey. Come join us. Anyway, so this is going to be about composition. So what is composition? It's the structure of a photograph. Obviously, if we're taking a photograph, we should have a vision in mind. We should know what we're taking a photograph of. Making conscious decisions, knowing the reason behind what we're doing. And also, if you're a beginner, it's kind of good practice to keep your subjects away from the far edges. Unless that's the goal of your composition, I don't know. You be you. You be a queen or king of what you want to do. Also, you're probably thinking, why didn't I do a first slide of like, oh look, this is my presentation. I just didn't. So enjoy that. Okay, so next I'm gonna look at the rule of thirds. If you've done filmmaking, you probably have heard of the rule of thirds. It's basically, imagine either your photograph or let's say you are chilling on Netflix and you've just paused that. Then it should be doing this rule. You can break this rule if you have an idea of why. But basically, for example, with this portrait, eyes are on the lines and the intersections. So we want our most important things on these lines. So it draws the viewer's attention to it. So eyes are really important in portrait photography, especially also in filmmaking, because they tell a lot about a person. Also, if you're kind of doing character photography, the way the eyes are looking at the lens can tell a lot about a person. And also, I got another report. It's a landscape one. And as you can see, the wolf's on the line. Because that's the most important part. We want to be looking at the nice little wolf. So the rule of thirds is really great to use for composition. So next I'm going to show you a load of squares. And you're probably like, why are you showing me a load of squares? It's okay. It's okay. We're going to the next one and it'll make a bit more sense. So I was showing you the squares to make you think about ratio, the ratio of your photograph. Because depending on what you're kind of putting into the frame can tell a different story. So like, for example, we've got the guy with his surfboard, and in the green, if we were going off the dark green rectangle, we would think like, oh, he's just going to go and surf. But then we zoom out and go to the yellow box ratio and we're thinking, oh, the beach is closed. So something dangerous is going to happen and he's about to put himself in danger. And then, for example, we've got the green, the lighter green box, too many greens, showing the lifeguard boats. It tells the story of maybe those lifeguards have gone out to save someone, something's happened in the sea. So think about kind of how you can use ratio to tell a story or get your audience to think about a certain thing. So obviously a photograph is composed of three components: foreground, middle ground, background. So as you can see in the foreground, we got these rocks and they look quite 3D effect. So usually it's quite good to have what you want your audience to look at in the foreground. As you can see, as we move through the middle ground, It's becoming a little bit more flatter. And then we've got the background, which looks quite flat because it's in the distance. And what I love is you can see the sun in the distance with this, which brings us up to distance. Pretty much when you're taking a photograph, it's good practice to not have things too near each other because it kind of looks a bit distracting. And as you can see in this photograph, each kind of cliff stands out because there's a lot of distance between them. Next is lines. Obviously, we've got some graphs showing you lines. And they don't have to be straight as this. We'll show you another example in a minute. But it's when we think of lines, it's kind of thinking about where you want the audience to look, like where you want their eyes to move to. So with this, as we can see, this is more showing the journey of the eyes. I quite like the tube one. You can see that it's not so rigid. It's quite a curved line. And as we can see from the lines, it's making us look at the is it two or one person? Oh, it's one person. Sometimes I get confused. I think it's one or two. In the tube, we can see it. It makes us go on a journey to find that person that's in the tube, a tube station. And then we've got the man, and then the harshness of kind of, what would it be? The balcony kind of makes us look past him into the distance. It's also showing a lot of distance as well. Next is focal points, basically meaning what is the main thing in the photograph you want us to look at. So in this, it's obviously, I think it's Big Ben, or is it just a clock? Anyway, I'm gonna call it Big Ben. It's looking at Big Ben. Then we got shapes. So when we think of shapes in photography, they can be anything. They don't have to be such like, this is a rectangle, this is a square. It can be like a crescent moon. Sometimes with the shape, it's the object itself. Sometimes it can be a bit more abstract, like in this photograph. What I like about this is that you've got the rectangle makes it feel quite, because we're looking up, it makes it feel quite claustrophobic, like we're trapped in something. And then we've got triangles. Triangles can be quite dynamic and three-dimensional, like in this. It's another way of thinking about how to break down your photograph. Next is textures, and obviously this can be, for example, patterns in the sand, waves of water. I would say this is probably not the best example to go off, but it's an example where you can see lots and lots of texture. I would say with photography, as you can see with this, we don't really know where to put our eye. If I was going to take this picture, I would probably focus on like one water drop, so our attention goes straight to that. And then there's patterns. Now patterns are everywhere. It's not kind of such of, oh, it has to be like a pattern of shapes. Pretty much when we say patterns in photography, it's something that repeats itself. So this is quite a good example because we've got the repetition of the squares, and it kind of makes us feel quite dizzy, I would say. But sometimes breaking the pattern is just as good. So as you can see, the candles, which are kind of is the same elements repeating itself, and then we've got the red candle. And by breaking that pattern, it makes us look straight at the red candle. Obviously, then there's color. Now, color can be used to, like in this, we automatically go to the top of, I'm going to say cliff, top of the cliff, and we've got, because of its red orangey color. Now, like, these kind of warm colors kind of connotes like enjoyment, excitement, jumping. Whereas, like, for example, we've got blue as well. They're kind of more calming. When you're taking pictures, you can think about that the most common colors are actually in nature are blue and green because of the blue sky, and then like fields. As you can see with this, pairing a warm color with a cool color kind of gives that interesting contrast. As well as color, we can also think of tone. Now, when we say tone, we're thinking about the hues and the intensity of the color. It doesn't have to be black and white like this, but I think it's quite a good example to illustrate a point. So by using a more bold color, that part will stand out. So maybe if you're taking a picture of a certain thing, you can make that much more darker, so automatically the audience draws their eyes that way. Then we got balanced and imbalanced. Now, when we say balance, we're referring to the visual weight within a photograph. Visual weight is basically where is the attention in the photograph. So having a balanced photograph means that each thing has visual weight. So each thing has the same amount of attention within the photo. Whereas imbalanced is the opposite. And as you can see from this, I would say in the background where we've got the kind of, I'm going to just keep calling them cliffs. We got the kind of cliff, because of how imbalanced it is, makes a straight look to the cliff. This is a really good kind of picture that shows what is considered balanced composition and unbalanced, and kind of thinking about how you could apply this to your composition. As you can see, this is not mine, it's from a website. As always, all resources are going to be in the description below. So don't worry, you can look at this in your own time, but I would also probably maybe take a screen grab because it might be quite useful. So next is positive and negative space. So positive space is anything in your photograph that stands out and attracts attention. And then obviously negative space would be the opposite. Obviously, you can take photographs with high amounts of positive space and high amounts of negative space, like the examples I've shown here. Having lots of negative space can kind of connote emptiness, peacefulness, isolation, but also loneliness. And you'll be glad to know that this is the last one. We've made it, people. We are lastly at the rule of odd. So with this, it said that having odd amounts of things make a composition of a photograph more appealing. So as you can see, there's so much of the rule of odd in this photograph. We got 3 stores. We've got 1 person looking at the Boss store. We've got 2 people. What store is that? Is it Marcus? Marco? The middle store. We've got 2 people looking at the middle store, and it's automatically kind of making us look different places in the photograph because of how odd it looks. So often, if you want things to stand out, think of the rule of odd. Because to be honest, in this photograph for me, I look at the woman looking at the Boss store because it's only her on her own, because we have 2 other people. Also, there's 3 people, so more of the rule of odd. But yes, that is the end. You can now be free. I hope you've had a good time. Please subscribe, like, and watch some other stuff. Bye! Oh my god, I love how the ears move.